If you're a current or former AT&T customer, you may have just received some unsettling news. Your personal data could have been exposed in a major security breach. This isn't just a minor technical glitch. This breach has potentially put sensitive information, like your name, address, account details, and even social security number, at risk of falling into the wrong hands. Millions of people across the country are affected, and the consequences go beyond simple inconvenience. Your privacy, your financial security, and even your peace of mind could be at stake. Identity theft, fraudulent charges, and unwanted solicitations are just a few of the risks that can follow a breach like this. In response, AT&T has agreed to a proposed settlement to resolve multiple lawsuits related to these breaches. This means that money and other benefits are being made available for those who were impacted, as a way to help offset the potential harm and inconvenience caused by the exposure of your data. But here's the catch. You won't automatically receive compensation. You must take action and file a claim to get your share of the settlement. If you do nothing, you could miss out on money or free services that you're entitled to. In this guide, we'll break down everything you need to know: who's eligible to file a claim, exactly what types of information were stolen, and the step-by-step process for submitting your claim online or by mail. We'll also cover how much you could potentially receive, what documentation you might need, and the most important steps you can take right now to protect yourself from further harm, like monitoring your credit and updating your passwords. Remember, this isn't just about getting compensated. It's about holding companies accountable for how they handle your personal information. Data privacy is a right, and it's important to make your voice heard. We'll explain the different payment tiers, what factors determine your eligibility, and how to make sure you qualify for the maximum benefit available to you. The process for filing is straightforward, but it's crucial to pay attention to the deadlines. If you miss the cutoff date, you could lose your chance to claim any compensation. We'll walk you through each step, highlight the most important dates to remember, and share practical tips to help you keep your information safe in the future, whether you're an AT&T customer or not. Data breaches are becoming more common, but there are proactive steps you can take to reduce your risk and respond quickly if your information is ever compromised. So let's get started. Follow along to make sure you claim what you're owed, protect your data, and stay informed about your rights. On March 30th, 2024, a massive AT&T data breach sent shockwaves across the country as the personal information of millions of people was suddenly exposed and made available on the dark web. The news broke quickly, leaving both current and former AT&T customers scrambling to understand the scope of the incident and what it meant for their privacy and security. The stolen data was incredibly sensitive, including full names, home addresses, phone numbers, dates of birth, social security numbers, and even AT&T account passcodes. For many, this was the kind of information that could be used to open bank accounts, apply for credit cards, or commit other forms of identity theft. In total, about 73 million people, both current and former AT&T customers, were put at risk. The breach didn't just threaten financial loss, it also created anxiety and uncertainty for families and individuals who suddenly had to worry about their identities being stolen or their credit being ruined. What made this breach even more alarming was that it affected people who hadn't been AT&T customers for years. Even if you left the company long ago, your data could still have been compromised, showing just how long companies can retain sensitive information. In the days that followed, lawsuits were filed across the country. Many accused AT&T of failing to protect the sensitive information entrusted to them and demanded accountability for the company's security practices. These lawsuits were soon consolidated into a single class action case, representing the millions of people whose data had been exposed. This legal action set the stage for the settlement we're discussing today, as victims sought both compensation and changes to how AT&T handles data. The sheer scale and sensitivity of the data involved made this breach one of the most serious in recent memory. It highlighted the growing risks of storing personal information online and the importance of robust cybersecurity measures. The legal action wasn't just about money. It was also about pushing AT&T and other companies to improve their data security so that something like this wouldn't happen again in the future. If you were an AT&T customer at any point, your information may have been part of this breach. Many people received notifications from AT&T, but others only learned about the risk through news reports or legal notices. The settlement that followed was a direct result of this incident and the intense legal and public pressure that came after. It's meant to provide some relief to those affected and to hold AT&T accountable for protecting customer data. But the story doesn't end there. Let's take a closer look at the second breach that added even more urgency to this crisis. Just months later, on July 12, 2024, AT&T suffered another breach. This time, cybercriminals illegally downloaded customer data, exposing information about account users and the phone numbers they interacted with. While not as massive as the March breach, it still compromised the privacy of many. This incident highlighted ongoing security issues at AT&T and expanded the scope of the lawsuits. The July breach affected fewer people, but added to the legal case against the company. Both breaches are now covered by the settlement, with compensation options for those impacted by either or both incidents. If your data was exposed in July, you're included in the settlement. The repeated breaches showed a pattern of security failures. The settlement addresses harm from both events. AT&T has proposed a $177 million settlement fund to resolve these lawsuits. $149 million is set aside for the March breach, reflecting its severity and the number of people affected. $28 million is for the July breach, which involved less sensitive but still private data. The fund covers direct payments, documented financial losses, administrative costs, and attorney's fees. If you were affected by both breaches, you may be eligible for compensation from both parts of the fund. The final amount you receive depends on how many people file valid claims and which tier you qualify for. This is a proposed settlement and still needs final court approval. Let's break down how much you could actually receive. The settlement provides a range of payment options, with different tiers depending on which data breach affected you and the extent of your documented losses. Understanding these tiers is key to knowing what you might be eligible for and how to maximize your claim. If you were impacted by both the March and July breaches and you can provide proof of significant financial losses, you could potentially claim up to $7,500. This is the highest compensation tier available, and it's designed for those who experience the most serious consequences. For those affected only by the March breach, you may be eligible to claim up to $5,000 for documented out-of-pocket expenses. This includes things like fraudulent charges, costs to freeze your credit, or fees for identity restoration services. The settlement also features two main cash payment tiers. One is for people whose social security numbers were exposed. These payments are expected to be about 5 times higher than the payments for those whose other personal information was compromised. The difference reflects the greater risk and potential harm from social security number exposure. If you were affected by the July breach, you can claim up to $2,500 for documented losses. In addition, you may receive a share of the remaining settlement fund after administrative costs and legal fees are deducted, so the final amount could vary. The exact amount each person receives will depend on how many people file claims and the total amount of documented losses. After all claims are processed, the settlement administrators will determine the final cash payment amounts for each tier. Remember, the more people who submit claims, the smaller each individual payment may be. That's why it's important to file early and make sure your documentation is complete. To qualify for the higher compensation tiers, you must provide clear proof of your losses, such as receipts, bank statements, or other supporting documents. The more thorough your evidence, the better your chances of receiving the maximum payout. Filing a claim is the only way to receive any money from the settlement. Make sure to follow the instructions carefully and submit your claim before the deadline. Don't miss your chance to get the compensation you deserve. Take action now to secure your share of the settlement. You're eligible if you're a current or former AT&T customer in the U.S. whose data was compromised in either breach. This includes tens of millions of people, even if you haven't been with AT&T for years. Watch your email for an official notice from its settlement at e.emailxa.com with your unique claim ID and instructions. Be wary of phishing scams. Only trust emails from that exact address. Never share sensitive info in response to unsolicited emails. If you don't get an email but think you're affected, check your status on the official settlement website. The site will have a tool to verify eligibility and more information. Don't rely on links from unofficial sources. Search for the official settlement name. Confirming your eligibility is essential before filing a claim. Take a few minutes to check your status and avoid missing out. Now let's walk through the claim process. Once you confirm eligibility, it's time to file your claim, online or by mail. The fastest way is online using the link and unique claim ID from your official email. Enter your claim ID, confirm your info, and select your compensation type. If claiming documented losses, upload digital proof like receipts or bank statements. Double-check your details before submitting. Prefer paper? Download the form from the official site, fill it out, attach copies of your documents, and mail it to the address provided. Make sure your mailed claim is postmarked by the deadline. Consider using certified mail for proof of delivery. Keep copies of everything for your records. Filing is simple, but accuracy and timing are crucial. Let's talk about those deadlines. The most important date is the claim deadline, Tuesday, November 18th, 2025. Submit your claim online or make sure your mailed form is postmarked by this date. No exceptions. Miss the deadline, and you lose your right to compensation and to sue AT&T over these breaches. File as soon as you get your notification to avoid last-minute issues. The court's final approval hearing is December 3rd, 2025. You don't need to attend, but it's the last step before payments go out. After approval, payments will take several months to process. Check the official settlement website for updates on payment timing. Mark your calendar and don't wait. Act now to secure your share. Now, here's how to protect yourself after a breach. Even after filing your claim, your stolen data could still be misused. Change your passwords, especially for AT&T and any accounts using similar credentials. Use strong, unique passwords and consider a password manager. Enable two-factor authentication on important accounts for extra security. Monitor your financial accounts and credit reports for suspicious activity. Place a fraud alert or credit freeze with the major credit bureaus if needed. Watch out for phishing emails, texts, or calls using your stolen info. Never click suspicious links or share personal info with unknown senders. Stay vigilant and informed to reduce your risk of identity theft. Taking these steps can help you stay safe after a data breach.